My name's Harrison Graham, and you are watching NBA Now by Chat Sports. On today's show, we're going to take a look at the top 25 NBA free agents for 2023. Not the strongest crop of players this year. I think it'll be a robust trade market this offseason, but still some notable guys to monitor this offseason. So let's go ahead and dive in here. Number one, Kyrie Irving, the unrestricted free agent with the Dallas Mavericks. And look, he makes this interesting in an otherwise underwhelming free agency year because you just don't know what the hell this guy is going to do. I thought he played pretty well with Dallas after the trade deadline, averaged 27 and 6, shot the ball well both from the field and from three-point range. The Mavs have made their stance pretty clear. They want to bring him back. They can offer him the most money, but we don't really know what goes on in Kyrie's brain, so we'll see what he opts to do. He seemed happy in Dallas in his short stint there, but does he want to go play with LeBron? Does he want to, reunite with KD and Phoenix in some weird scenario? Who the hell knows? Kyrie is obviously the top name to watch. The second name to watch is James Harden, who I want to give Harden some credit. While he's a headache at times on the floor, I thought he bounced back pretty nicely this year from a couple of down years. A lot of us thought he was cooked after last season, and he played pretty well. Now, he had a couple of duds in that Eastern Conference second-round series against Boston, but they don't get to Game 7 without him. He dropped 42 in that Game 1 win without Joel Embiid, had a couple of other big games as well, certainly had some bad games in there, but he did enough to get paid. He's got a player option, but he's expected to opt out. The Houston Rockets expected to be linked to bring him back. Philadelphia should be in the mix as well. Kristaps Porzingis, the big out of Washington, he's got a player option, and look, when he signed that deal with Dallas, a lot of people thought he would opt in due to his injury history, but in a weak free agency group and with him having a mostly healthy year and playing well for the Wizards, I bet he opts out and gets a bigger contract, so we'll see if he re-signs with Washington or goes elsewhere, but good to see KP playing some good ball this year. Draymond Green, a really interesting one. Does he opt in to his player option? I actually think that could happen with the Golden State Warriors. What happens now that Bob Myers has exited? Draymond Green said on his podcast recently, if Bob Myers isn't here, I may not be here. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Be weird to see him in a different uniform, but I do think there's a scenario where it could happen. How about Fred VanVleet, who's also got a player option with the Raptors, but I believe he will opt out, and he actually already tweeted out support of Nick Nurse getting the Sixers job, so if James Harden were to exit Philadelphia, I think a natural replacement would be Fred VanVleet. He's obviously a different style player, more of a scoring guard, which obviously Harden is as well, but Harden's a better distributor. And, VanVleet's not the most efficient player, but he's a Nick Nurse guy. I think that would be a natural fit. You wouldn't have to pay him the max, where Harden may cost you the max. So that's a potential development. If he leaves Toronto, I think Philadelphia could make a lot of sense. Now, who is the best free agent this year? What do you guys think? Best player on the market? I think it's Kyrie. You could argue Harden, you could argue a couple other guys, but even though Kyrie comes with off-the-court headaches you'd rather not deal with, it's still a 25, 30-point scorer who can go for 50 at any given night. So I would lean him. Let me know what you guys think. Best free agent this year. Okay, we'll go 6 through 10 here. Jerami Grant, who, at this point in his career, is he just a good stats, bad team guy? I don't know. I mean, he's a good defender, versatile player, but everywhere he goes, the teams he's on stink. When Portland got him last offseason, I was like, I actually like that next to Dame. It's not a title contender, but they should be back at the playoffs. Obviously, they had some injury problems, but they didn't even flirt with the playoffs. I mean, that was disappointing. I'll be curious to see where he lands. Khris Middleton, how do teams feel about him? He missed a good chunk of the season. When he did play, he didn't play that well. He averaged 15 points per game this year. I mean, you look at the numbers, not that good. Now, I thought he played a little better down the stretch. He was actually pretty good in that elimination game against Miami. They still lost, but I think he scored 30 points and was pretty solid. He's definitely not getting a max. He's got a player option. Does he opt in now? I mean, I would consider it at $35 million if I'm Khris Middleton, but kind of unclear, I think, on him what his market could be. Brook Lopez, another free agent with the Milwaukee Bucks. He is unrestricted. Talk about a guy who's just revitalized his career. Had a great start to his career. Kind of a bad middle few years, but the last several years with the Bucks, he's been really good. Good shot blocker, can stretch to the three-point line. I like him quite a bit, and that's why I've got him ahead of a Nikola Vucevic who, puts up overall better like raw numbers, right? Like you look at Vooch's offensive scoring, you're like, okay, like this is a better player on paper than Brook Lopez, but he's not the defender that Lopez is. I think Lopez translates to winning more with his shot blocking ability, and I think he's just got overall better defensive attributes. I still like Vooch. I think on certain teams he could be a winning piece. There's reports that the Bulls might sign Vooch to a contract extension, which is a bit of a puzzling decision to me if that ends up happening. Kyle Kuzma, who had the best year of his career, I would say, with the Washington Wizards, reports suggest he will re-sign. He also has a player option, but I think he will opt out and get a pay raise, and I do think he'll stay with Washington. What is curious, as they also have Bradley Beal in the mix, what if Washington can only keep one? Which one do they keep? Type KP for Kristaps Porzingis, type Kuz for Kyle Kuzma. I think KP's the better player, but Kuz doesn't have the injuries. Andy's coming off a career year. Tough one to answer. KP for Porzingis or Kuz for Kyle Kuzma. Next up is Cameron Johnson, who, look, I thought the Nets did really well with getting Mikal Bridges and Johnson in that trade for Kevin Durant. Both those guys really excelled in bigger roles. I thought Johnson played well, shot 40% from three on higher volume, 15 points per game. He will be sought out as a 3-and-D free agent. Jordan Clarkson, who is a six-man of the year guy. He can start as well. Combo guard, who's a 20-point scorer. He's got a player option. I think he'll opt out and look for a pay raise. Austin Reeves, one of the most intriguing names in NBA free agency this year. Undrafted. We kind of know the story at this point. He just kind of plugs and plays and gets better and better. And look at what this guy did in the playoffs this year with the Lakers. I mean, he was unconscious, averaged 17 points per game, dishes out 4.6 assists per game, shot the ball well from the field, unreal from three at over 44%. I think he's going to get some real money. I would not be shocked if he got $15 to $20 million per year. So keep an eye on that. And that's the reason I've got him ahead of D'Angelo Russell. I know Russell has more raw talent. He's got more accolades. His career stats are better. I get all that. But who was better by a pretty wide margin when it counted most? Austin Reeves. Look at D'Lo's playoff numbers. 13 points per game. Assists were similar, sure, but field goal percentage worse. 3-point percentage much worse. I think Austin Reeves is a better win-now player. Like, if I'm the Lakers and I got to pick one of these, I'm keeping Austin Reeves. He's younger, and I think he fits better. Jakob Poeltl, who got traded from San Antonio to Toronto at the deadline, and now he might leave Toronto, so that looks like a weirder and weirder deal for the Raptors by the day at this point. But good defensive center who can score around the basket, so keep an eye on where he could end up. By the way, with Austin Reeves, restricted free agent, so the Lakers can match. If you want NBA coverage all year long, join the family here at Chat Sports. We got the latest NBA news, rumors, finals coverage, every single finals game. We're going to be live here on the channel, so join us for that. It's youtube.com/chatsportstv. Don't miss any of it over the next couple of months especially. Okay, a few more free agents here. Gary Trent Jr., good scorer. Has he flatlined as a player? We'll see. He's got a player option. I'll be curious to see if he opts in or opts out. Harrison Barnes, who, what I like about Barnes is he understands his role. If I'm Sacramento, I'm trying to bring him back. He's, 13 to 15 points. He can stretch the three-point line. Good defender. I think he's a winning piece. Russell Westbrook. Look, I've said this for a couple years. If he's willing to embrace a super six-man role for not a massive contract, I think he can be effective. I like how he was playing with the Lakers earlier in the year. I really liked how he played with the Clippers. I mean, when Kawhi and Paul George weren't available due to injuries, Russell Westbrook was playing his ass off in the playoffs. So, listen, if it's for a less than $20 million per year type of contract, I think he's got value. Josh Hart expected to opt out of his player option. Tried to combine opt-out and player option there. I think he'll opt out, get a little bit of a pay raise, stay with the New York Knicks. I think that is expected for him. How much money will Josh Hart get on the open market? 15 mil? 18? Could he flirt with 20? I'm thinking like 3 years and 51 million, 17 a year. I could see something in that range. What do you guys think? Good defender that can play really the 2 through 4 on both sides of the floor. Are you a real one? If you're a subscriber to Chat Sports, that makes you a real one. So get yourself a real one t-shirt. Represent wherever you hang wherever you live with the Real One shirt. We got black shirts, red, blue, pretty much every color known to man. Purple as well. Check these out today in all sizes. Chatsports.com/Real One. That link is in the comments and in the description. Click and shop today. Get yourself a Real One Chat Sports t-shirt. How about Bruce Brown, who's earned himself some money during the NBA playoffs? He's kind of served as the top benchman for Denver. First player off the bench type of role there. Can score, put the ball on the ground. He can shoot the ball pretty well from the outside, although he struggled a bit from three in the playoffs, but great defender as well. Still young. I think he's got some pretty good value. How about Rui Hachimura, who the Lakers stole from the Washington Wizards? He's a restricted free agent as well. If I'm LA, I'm trying to re-sign him and Austin Reeves. He could command a decent price tag, though, in free agency. Karis LeVert with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'll be curious to see what his market was. I loved him in Indiana. I don't think he was that great of a fit with Cleveland because they already had Darius Garland, and obviously they traded for Donovan Mitchell. I think he goes elsewhere, and I think he'll get back to having a bigger role. Gabe Vincent and Max Strus, we'll kind of just pair them together here with the Miami Heat. Different type of players, but both guys who can shoot the three ball. Vincent, more of a point guard who can handle. Strus, a little bit better of a defender. It'll be interesting what the Heat do after the playoffs with these guys. It's going to be hard to bring back both. They may have to pick one. Grant Williams, restricted free agent with the Boston Celtics. Look, say what you want. Probably not the best look to try and get in a heated debate with Jimmy Butler, but he didn't back down, and he's a good role player. I think he's going to get some decent cash in free agency. Here are some honorable mention free agents, 10 more players to monitor. Christian Wood, the big with the Mavericks, kind of a empty stats guy. You know, I still wonder if he could be a winning piece for a team. 7-footer who can score at all three levels. That's certainly intriguing. Dylan Brooks, if you take away the smack talk, he's a good role player, but unfortunately he likes to call out LeBron James. Dennis Schroeder, good defensive guard. Decent enough offensive player. I think he's kind of a mid-level type of guy. Naz Reid, decent center. He's out there. Kelly Oubre, 30K Oubre. Maybe he returns to the Warriors. Real ones no. PJ Washington with the Hornets. He's restricted, so we'll see what happens there. Dante DiVincenzo has a player option. Does he opt in? Does he opt out? You got Malik Beasley, Kenyon Martin Jr., and Matisse Thybulle, a couple of other players as well. So few guys on the open market to monitor. Okay, let us know who your favorite team is and who you want them to sign. Like, for example, I'm a Mavs fan. I would like to see them sign Kyrie Irving back, because if not, that trade was a disaster. So let me know who you would like to see your favorite team sign in free agency, and of course, drop your favorite team in the comments section. Hit that sub button. Our coverage is just beginning with the offseason upon us, although we still have NBA Finals coverage as well, so don't miss out on any of it.